vciso-au Cyberwatch, August 25, 2025. Strategic Cybersecurity Intelligence Brief. Powered by vciso-au. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay secure. Ensure your cybersecurity program is both proactive and verifiable. By Anil Yelamati, ANZ Ransomware. Victims none DaVita ransomware breach. 2.9 million patients impacted. DaVita, one of the largest U.S. dialysis providers, with 2,675 domestic clinics and 367 international locations, confirmed a ransomware attack that exposed the data of approximately 2.69 million patients, according to HHS OCR. The breach, discovered on April 12, 2025, encrypted on-premises systems and forced the company to proactively isolate critical infrastructure to limit the spread. A public statement followed on April 18th, noting disruptions, but assuring patients that care continued under contingency and manual workflows. DaVita immediately engaged third-party incident response specialists to help restore operations securely, though the risk to personal and health information is considered significant. The exposed data is likely to include billing records, scheduling details, and potentially sensitive clinical information, making identity and medical fraud a major concern. Given DaVita's 37% market share in U.S. dialysis care, the operational and reputational impact is substantial. Regulators expect HIPAA notifications, credit monitoring, and fraud protection for affected patients. The case demonstrates how ransomware targeting healthcare is especially damaging due to the need for continuous care delivery and reliance on real-time patient data. The attack also underlines the importance of immutable backups, segmentation, and tested downtime procedures in clinical operations. vciso-au recommends adopting a 3-2-1 backup strategy with immutable storage, enforcing strong endpoint detection and response across all clinics, and implementing strict privileged access controls. Regular ransomware tabletop exercises and clinical downtime drills should also be mandatory to ensure continuity of patient care during cyber crises. Microsoft Outlook and Teams cloud incidents. Microsoft confirmed a 12-hour outage impacting Outlook mobile users, leveraging hybrid modern authentication, HMA, when a misconfiguration in Exchange Online triggered exceptions that quarantined mailbox sync jobs. The incident, tracked as EX1137007, started on August 17, 2025, and temporarily disrupted access to email and calendar functions, leaving many enterprise users unable to communicate effectively. Microsoft initially attempted to mitigate by adjusting sync intervals, but eventually had to release a code fix to resolve the quarantine error. In parallel, a separate but related Teams outage, TM1134507, was reported, where desktop clients froze or displayed blank windows due to issues with Intel display drivers, forcing many organizations to rely on Teams Web as a workaround. Microsoft categorized both as service incidents rather than advisories, since the failures were user-visible and directly affected productivity. For enterprises relying heavily on Microsoft 365, the events raised concerns around business continuity, SLA adherence, and the need for communication fallback mechanisms. Service disruptions of this scale can cause major delays in projects, executive communication breakdowns, and reputational risk when external stakeholders are impacted. vciso-au recommends that enterprises integrate Microsoft 365 service health notifications into ITSM platforms to ensure real-time visibility and prepare ready-to-deploy communication templates for end users. Staged client rollouts, robust MDM baseline enforcement, and tested rollback plans should be established to avoid widespread client issues. Business continuity planning should also include fallback channels, such as Outlook web access, alternate collaboration tools, and mailbox monitoring to sustain operations during extended Microsoft Cloud outages. Apple Zero Day exploited an image I/O, CVE 2025-433-100. CISA issued a security advisory after Apple disclosed CVE 2025's 433-300, a zero-day vulnerability in image I/O that is actively being exploited in the wild. The flaw is an out-of-bounds right that allows attackers to achieve arbitrary code execution when a device processes a maliciously crafted image file. Since image previews and message attachments are automatically handled by iOS, iPadOS, and macOS systems, exploitation can occur without user interaction, making this a highly dangerous threat. The vulnerability impacts all supported Apple devices, representing a massive enterprise and consumer attack surface. The flaw has been added to CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities KEV catalog, with a September 11, 2025 deadline for federal agencies to patch under Binding Operational Directive 2201. Attackers could exploit this to gain initial access to sensitive environments, particularly where BYOD or unmanaged devices are permitted. Organizations must prioritize emergency patch rollouts via MDM, enforce compliance checks, and block unpatched devices from accessing corporate networks until remediation is complete. Beyond patching, endpoint detection must be tuned to capture abnormal image I/O processing and telemetry linked to malicious files. vciso-au recommends disabling auto-preview features in messaging applications where possible, implementing robust EDR coverage across Apple endpoints, and enforcing least privilege app entitlements. Comprehensive zero-day response playbooks should be maintained, including user communication templates, hunting queries, and rollback options in case of patching complications. Continuous hardening of browsers, messaging platforms, and attachment scanning is critical to reducing exposure to file-based exploits. Murky Panda, Glacial Panda, Cloud Espionage Campaign, threat intelligence reports revealed that Murky Panda, also known as Silk Typhoon, Hafnium, or Genesis Day, has intensified espionage campaigns targeting global telecommunications and cloud environments. The group exploits zero-day vulnerabilities in internet-facing appliances, such as Citrix NetScaler, CVE 2023-3519, and Commvault Backup, CVE 2025-3928, to gain initial access. From there, they leverage trusted IT service providers and supply chain partners to laterally move across cloud tenants, gaining access to downstream environments. The group also hijacks in-country SOHO devices to act as exit nodes, obfuscating traffic and masking attribution. Once inside, Murky Panda deploys tools such as Neo-Regeorg web shells and the Clouded Hope RATI, specifically designed for persistence and cloud exploitation. One observed case in 2024 involved a supplier account compromise that allowed temporary backdoor accounts in Microsoft Entra ID, which was then used to target Active Directory and enterprise email systems. Their primary objective is intelligence collection, but the techniques highlight severe risks to enterprise cloud supply chains. Exploiting SaaS provider zero days also provides them with access to multiple downstream customers simultaneously. vciso-au recommends urgent patching of edge appliances, removal of internet-exposed administrative interfaces, and enforcement of phishing-resistant FIDO2 authentication across all privileged accounts. In Entra ID, organizations should enforce least privileged partner access, continuous workload identity monitoring, and strong consent governance for third-party integrations. Additional monitoring of cloud sessions, behavioral analytics, and endpoint controls must be deployed to detect persistence and lateral movement. Supply chain risk management programs should also enforce contractual security baselines and continuous visibility into partner access. Tableau, Securitybite desktop, remote code execution risks. A series of critical vulnerabilities were disclosed in Tableau Server and Tableau Desktop, including unrestricted file uploads, path traversal, input validation errors, and a severe type confusion bug, tracked as CVE 2025-26496, with a CVSS score of 9.6. Collectively, these flaws allow attackers to upload malicious files, traverse directories, and execute arbitrary code, potentially resulting in complete system compromise. Tableau confirmed the issues on July 22, 2025, releasing patched versions for Server 2025-1.4, 2024.2.13, and 2023.3.20, and desktop clients. Organizations running unpatched instances are at high risk, especially if deployments are exposed to the internet or used in multi-tenant business environments. An attacker could chain the upload and traversal vulnerabilities to gain RCE and access sensitive business intelligence data, which often contains financial, strategic, or customer insights. Administrators are urged to upgrade immediately and restrict access to administrative and upload interfaces to trusted networks only. Tableau service accounts should be hardened with least privilege permissions, and strong SSO with MFA should be enforced. In addition, organizations should implement strict network segmentation between Tableau environments and production databases or backups. vciso-au recommends placing Tableau behind a reverse proxy, or WAF, with strict file type validation, logging, and size limitations to prevent malicious uploads. A full review of logs for potential compromise indicators should follow patching, alongside penetration tests, to validate remediation effectiveness. Long-term, enterprises must treat BI platforms as high-value assets, applying the same rigor in patching, monitoring, and access control as they do for ERP or financial systems. Ransomware exposure list. Last 24 hours, Singapore. Prosegur Brazil. Solartex, United States. George Haney and Son, GEA Consulting Engineers. Wire Borner Allen. Mark Edward Partners. Hogan Construction Group. Sonatrol Security Solutions. Secure FL. Burt Process Equipment. Gillette Air Conditioning Company. Greniker. Exotherm. Hale Peterson. Carperby and Deitzler. Ocean Edge Resort and Golf Club. CBG Surveying Texas, Italy. Dottori Commercialisti. Associati. Eco Demolizioni. Hong Kong. Fullcolor.com. Limited Netherlands. Clinical Diagnosis. Deleted thread after 2 days. Puerto Rico. Quadrangle Imaging Center. Canada. Carmichael Engineering Germany. IT Welt und Telekommunikation. Crevette. In year hear the difference. Spohn plus Burkhardt. GmbH & Co. KG. Firmaneller.id Portugal. Dual Info United Kingdom. Blazer Building. Final note from vciso-au. Australia and New Zealand remain relatively untouched this week, but the global threat landscape continues to shift. Critical infrastructure, software supply chains, and endpoint security are under siege. Ensure your cybersecurity program is both proactive and verifiable. By Anil Yelamati.